welcome to another discussion for us to take up today. I just have come up with one uh, aspect today to set up ethical practice and why it is so important. Well, when we talk about setting up a practice for any kind of practitioner, there are many aspects to consider. But the prime focus for a good practitioner or for anyone is how my practice is going to be beneficial for my client. And from perspective of a practitioner, when they want to set up their practice, their focus is to know that what kind of support I will get from the association I might join. Because it's very important for everyone, even though when we talk about Ayurveda, in this part of the world, Australia and New Zealand, because these are under self-regulatory modalities in these countries and come up under complementary medicine. So in current scenario, there are no set up rules, but still both these countries have government approved courses. So most practitioner would like to achieve that qualification and then try to set up their practice. But still there are many who will try to set up their practices even without qualification, because they know there is no set qualification in these countries. So if I have some knowledge on Ayurveda, I can set up my practice. No matter what profession they are from, they might be very good in marketing, they might have done a master degree in marketing and social media, and they feel that when I will project myself as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I can get much more better client. And it's not what I should say untrue. There are many in our country, in New Zealand and Australia, who are practicing on such qualification that they have no recognized qualification. Their only one qualification is that they have visited India many times and went to various Ayurvedic places to get different kind of treatments, try to go through various pharmacies to know about Ayurvedic herbs, and slowly they will try to know, okay, what this herb does, what good for that, and when they come up and set up their practices. So this is one aspect we call as unethical practice. No one can stop you, but when you are doing this sort of practice or setting up in a practice, you know in yourself, this is what we call as cheating your own conscience. But how many of us will look at, and why we look at, that question has to come up to us. So that is where one point of ethical practice comes up. Reason is, ethical practice is essential in every profession, no matter whether you are doing Ayurvedic practice or other kind of modalities practice or business setup or anything. But ethical principles are very essential to follow, because one day they will have a deeper impact on each individual. But when we talk about Ayurveda, which is not just a modality, but a complete philosophy of life, where we talk about that each practitioner, whether you are an advanced diploma Ayurvedic practitioner or diploma level as a lifestyle consultant, or you are an Ayurvedic doctor, you are following Ayurvedic principle. Whether you accept or not, it does not change the reality. And in your whole learning, whether it is a 3-year learning, 2 years learning, or 6-year learning at a degree level, all the time you talk about role of the mind, role of the soul, role of the body. You all the time talk about purpose of life. You talk all the time about 3 gunas of mind, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, and you clearly understand that what these qualities are, how they play a role in our life. And all of us also understand the theory of karmas, our actions, our deed, and our actions and deed and thoughts will give us the reward, if not today, tomorrow. And based on that concept, if a Ayurvedic practitioner is still not following certain ethical principle in the practice, they need to look at themselves. Reason is why a Ayurvedic practitioner has to look at, because they know about all these principles. They know about all these aspects, that how they can impact any individual. Many other people might get away that they don't know what this all means, hence I am not following, so it's not my fault. So ignorance is an excuse for them. But when we talk about Ayurvedic practitioner or those who have learned Ayurveda in a real sense, they cannot say that I don't know. And when you knowingly doing something wrong, there is a natural law that you will be paying double than the other person. When you will pay, I'm not the one who has to justify or decide that. We all will know that when someone is going to pay. So setting up a practice, one question every practitioner asks, okay, what sort of association I should join? Because even though it is self-regulatory modalities in these countries, but still it becomes important that we should join in a professional body, which, even though it cannot act as a policeman to see what wrong and what good you are doing in your practice, but at least you will have a more close contact with your co-fellows and those who are setting up the practices in different countries or different cities or in the same city. At least you can have some kind of support. You can attend sometime different seminars where you can learn what going out or learn from their experiences, cases and other things. So that's always an important part. And most of practitioners try to look at what association I should join. And in that respect, many will ask, apart from the other benefit, that what kind of rebate I can get for my client, rebate in relation to the treatment, because there are so many health funds around, and every practitioner think that they will be able to provide some kind of rebate to my client, and I will be able to get more client for my practice, and this way it will help me to establish better way or easy way. And on the name of that, there are certain association in Australia, in Ayurveda, who claim that their members can get up some kind of a health fund rebate, which is totally not true at all. Reason is the health fund rebate will come under specific kind of modality. And in Ayurveda so far, there are not any health fund who will give you some kind of a rebate. Reason is there are not many numbers of health practitioners setting up their practices, so these health fund does not look towards these modalities, but associations are working closely toward that. But then there is one association who talk about that their members can get some kind of rebate. But when you look closely, what kind of rebate they get, if someone is coming to you for an Ayurvedic practice, Ayurvedic massage or an Ekati Basti, you are not writing in that form as an Ayurvedic massage. You are writing in a remedial massage or something else, right? And then that basis you feel that I can get some rebate for my client, which will be good for your client, but this is what termed as unethical practice. If you are doing that way, you will be paying that reward one day anyway. But again, as I said, being in a self-regulatory modality, no one can ask you to look at yourself. You have to look at yourself in your inner conscious. If you feel what I am doing for my client is right, keep doing that. But if you feel this is not right, why you are doing that, you need to ask yourself. And why that should be the criteria of joining an association, you need to ask yourself. So that's one part of why ethical practice and what is ethical practice comes up. Then the second part comes up is using different kind of products, because in your practice you will be using apart from advising them different levels of advice what you have learned in your courses, you will be advising them different kind of herbs to use. So now when you are trying to consider using herbs, what your consideration should be of picking up from where I should be buying these herbs. If you feel the rate, price of that herb is your consideration, again that is a wrong choice you are making. This is again comes up under that you are trying to go towards an unethical aspect. Your focus should be the quality and quality assurance of that herb. Wherever you buy, as long as you are able to understand and also able to see that this particular herb has all the parameters tick, whether it is for the heavy metal, whether it is for the other microbiological tests and other things, then you are using that herb even though it is in a $1 cheaper or $1 costly, you should not be worried about. Your focus should be peace of mind and good quality for my practitioner. That is what comes up under ethical practice. But then sometime, as we talked about all the time, still I have seen many practitioners will go and get stuff from, or these kind of herbs from even Indian grocery shops, where they buy these kind of herbs not from the quality perspective. Their focus is always price perspective. So that will add to the another aspect. Then the other major component come under ethical practice, that what you are advising to your client, are you following that aspect in your life yourself? First part comes up, many Ayurvedic practitioners I have seen, they will not hesitate. All the time they will be asking their client to eat only vegetarian food, which is fine because that's where you are talking about the sattvic, rajasic, tamasic concept, and you feel one need to live in a sattvic life. But then they need to look at themselves. That do they eat that kind of food what they are trying to advise to their client? If not, how come you are advising that? That again comes under your ethical practice, that you are following unethical practice and trying to say that my practice is ethical. This is the aspect one need to look at. Then other component comes up in regard to your lifestyle. Now whole Ayurveda revolve around lifestyle. Whole Ayurveda revolve around diet. So on that aspect, when I'm talking about lifestyle and on that basis, I'm trying to advise some kind of routines to my client, what we call as our daily regimes and seasonal regimes. And in that, if you are advising someone that you should be getting up in morning and to be termed as a very, very good practitioner, as a very good Ayurvedic practitioner, you are trying to advise them, you should wake up in the Vata time. One need to look at, do I wake up in that time myself? If I'm waking up at 7 or 6:30, how I can ask someone to wake up at 5? Again, these are the component which comes under again unethical practice. Same is in your eating pattern. If you are advising someone to eat something different and your own practices are eating different, even you take an example of breakfast. Now you are trying to tell, because it's in a winter and you should be eating warm breakfast, porridge or whatever you might advise as you have learned, but you have just eaten half an hour ago your bread and banana and cheese and bacon and other stuff. So that is where again comes up under your unethical practice. But again, my point of sharing today these things are not to undermine anyone, but reason of me bringing up this today, because many time our own practitioner, our own student keep asking that how we should set up a practice, what are the components we need to look at. And this is very true. One need to understand, they need to have a good business plan, they need to set up and identify what area I should be practicing, what kind of client are in that area where I'm setting up my practice, because you need to know demographic of the area where you are trying to set up the practice to really have a good follow-up and following. And if that aspects are not being looked at, you will struggle to establish, because still not on a wider level public is following Ayurvedic principles or Ayurvedic practice. And reason of that is not that Ayurveda is not popular. It's all about another component. Even though we have seen in this pandemic what we are going through still, that our mainstream medicine totally failed to help people. And this has been well established that one's lifestyle, one's diet, one's other factor has played a huge role in their survival, even though they might have suffered from that COVID issue. And what we talk about in simple term, immunity. But not many countries government has moved towards making people to follow boosting their immunity in a right way. but public themselves has start understanding that aspect and slowly moving toward that, and that's why they are following Ayurveda, yoga and those aspects. But still many even want to follow, they sometimes not able to afford, because these being self-funded modalities, people have to pay from their own pocket. It is not government subsidized, government approved. That's the reason some people cannot come even though they want to. So on that aspect, again, it comes our under ethical aspect, that we need to see how you are charging for your client and how you keep it in a way that it is affordable for them, or all those cost of the medicines, cost of the treatment, you make it in a way, but still you have your overhead. You need to make sure that it is viable to set up that practices. So various considerations you have to keep it in mind when you are setting your business. But the most important is how you practice, what you advise to your client. Do you really understand what you are advising to your client fully and able to follow those principles in your life fully? That is what in Ayurveda we call as ethical practice. And if we all can follow ethical principles, it will bring reward to you. Many will ask, okay, I don't see any reward coming up, these things are does not matter. Yes, fine. If you feel that way, no one going to question you. Don't follow them, right? But reality is, if you want to take your eyes away from the truth or the fact does not change. By you saying that these things does not matter, it does not make any change. One day when you will receive or feel the impact of these things, on that day one will realize that what was being told to me was true, but then by that time it will be too late. So my appeal to all practitioners are, don't just get lured towards the money aspect. Don't get into such associations or like that who make you to do wrong kind of recommendations, and don't get lured towards your herbs or other products just for the cost sake. Stick with your principles, stick with your values, because at the end of the day they are only going to stand by you, and what reward you will get will be based on those aspects. So that's all I would like to share today briefly, and hope this can be looked at by every practitioner, and you can given a moment to think over these things, and those who are ready to set up practice will follow the right pathway. Thanks everyone.